It's fun to sit here looking back over the last 2 years. I remember 2 years going, Aaron, it's got to be okay. Everything's going to turn out great. And you can feel the lift, hey?
I really can.
The world has changed completely from what it was.
Before we start, we need to tell you up front we are not a licensed financial planning, accounting or law firm. This is simply an education program which will give you factual information. We do not give any general or specific advice around finance, business, investing, options trading or anything else. That is not what this presentation does. Please see a licensed financial planner when it comes to any investment advice you need.
Good afternoon, it's Edge Radio Australia. Time for the Greater Wealth. What a day. Okay, feeling a little enthusiasm. There is a bit of a feeling about today. In the background, you can see we have Mr. Carter coming from a undisclosed location. That's going to be a bit of a theme for you for the next few years. But fantastic to see you all a distance away. I saw the fist pump. I saw the vibe. But before we go any further, let's talk to the main man himself. Great to see you, Derek. Derek Whittaker, Blu Sky Factory, the man who turns changes in the world into unbelievable opportunities. Look at that.
It's fun to sit here looking back over the last 2 years. I remember 2 years going, Aaron, it's got to be okay. Everything's going to turn out great. And you can feel the lift, hey?
I really can.
The world has changed completely from what it was. I think you look back in 2024, there were two forks in the road. I've heard this on the Joe Rogan show, and I forget the guy's expert he had on there, but he was absolutely right. He said the outcome of the assassination was huge, right?
I agree.
That changed the direction of the world forever. The second part of that was the outcome of the election. That changed the world forever. And I think we felt that on the other side of it. And today, 100%. Coming into this inauguration of what's happening in the United States, there is a real celebration in the air for many people.
I agree. And there's going to be another celebration. This will be the fact that we won't hear much from Mr. Carter today because we've got so much great video footage to watch. So much to sort of to absorb and take in and make comment on. We might just have to turn his mic off a couple of times. Just saying.
I'm sure he'll get in some.
I think he'll give it a go. But it is a pleasure to have.
I'm the admin on this account, so even if you turn me off or just turn me back on,
good point. Yes, good point. No, but honestly, all jokes aside, it's an absolute pleasure to have you both here. I do feel like there's a weight that's been lifted. I'm really excited about the future, which is something we haven't felt for a long time. So very, very positive thing indeed. Now, you've got a lot of videos that you want to talk about today.
I want to.
And there's some great stills as well. So should we just get straight into it or should we just keep celebrating?
Let's do both.
Okay,
let's do both. Everything is about to change, and that's what I've called today's show. Right. Everything is about to change. The world will have to change because of the USA. What's going on, and they know it. The world leaders. If we have a look at this first video, this is classic. We can talk over this. This is really, really interesting. If you look at his face there, it's a wartime president face.
100%.
I am cleaning
kind of look,
everything out, and you better not get in the way. And Fantastic. That is a photo they'll see in all their official offices as far as governance is concerned in the United States of America. So every worker that works for the government will see that and go, you better not mess around or any internal corruption. I'm after you. We are cleaning house. And that, I think, is a powerful, powerful statement, not just to public servants in the United States, also within the states, state government legislatures as well, but also internationally for those guests who are coming to the inauguration are getting that in their program going, take that home with you. This is your souvenir from this inauguration. It's a powerful statement.
It really is. I mean, so much of a statement can be made with a simple image, and that's exactly what that is. Symbolistic, simple, boom, straight to the point. I do love it.
If you look at the lighting, it's that one where it's emphasizing, the features of his face. It looks domineering. It's not a friendly photo at all.
No.
I'm coming at you. And then that pin just pops in the corner there of the United States flag.
And you know what's interesting? Okay, now this morning the process has started where we're having the hostages being released. Okay, now that's a man you don't screw with. That photograph is saying internationally, boom, to the international community. We are not an administration to be messed with. And look at the difference. Whereas 4 years of weekend at Biden's, what an unbelievable difference. Your thoughts there?
Have you compared that photo to when he got arrested?
Very similar.
Very similar. Did you see when he got arrested? He's like, I'm going to screw you guys over. Well, not screw you over. I'm going to clean up this department the moment I win Parliament. office, and he's going to do the absolute same. I don't need to push the talk button, Josh. Anyway, so I need a mute button for Aaron. So anyway, I think you'll find that there'll be a couple of places that he's targeting immediately. Anyway, I'm going to throw it back to you guys. Go.
Absolutely. And it's a comparison to his first inauguration portrait, which was a lot more friendlier compared to what you're seeing now. I have no doubt in the second video that we've got here of this is from Sky News, and it's interviewing senior advisor Jason Miller. He has announced that President Trump plans to sign executive orders within the Capitol immediately after his inauguration, before even heading over to the White House.
Wow.
Okay, so it's like backstage
in the car.
Yeah, Trump. They're going to set up a desk somewhere, and he's going to sign. He's estimated that on his first day, he could sign anywhere between 100 to 200 executive orders before going to the White House.
He's going to have one hell of a cramp. That is incredible.
Some have posted we're going to need a lot of pens, and that's what they're planning. Have a look at this.
Very excited. This is a big moment. Obviously, only the second time in American history we've had a former president coming back in as a new president. And I think the difference here is that President Trump can put things into action right away. We're not talking theoreticals. We're not talking 100-day plans or 6 months or a year down the road. These are things he can start doing tomorrow at 12:01 p.m. when he's sworn in. I think that makes a big deal for international security, as we've seen to the peace deal already put together in the Middle East. But even for right here with our own southern border, we're going to be able to put those policies back in place to secure it right away.
I remember you telling me quite some time ago now that on the steps of the Capitol building, in the moment after he was sworn in, he would sign a pile of executive orders. Is that the plan? It won't be on the steps, of course, because of the weather.
The steps will be inside of the rotunda, but I think you will see some immediate action there inside the rotunda before the president heads over actually back here to where we're now at Capitol One Arena.
So he's going to sign executive orders in the Capitol building before he's even got to the White House.
There's a very good chance you're going to see some put into action right away. But then when he gets over here to the Capitol One Arena as part of the events tomorrow, he will be signing additional executive orders. But even beyond the executive orders, there are executive actions that he'll be putting into place as well, different rules changes, things of that nature. And so especially we talk about remain in Mexico, ending catch and release, the border policies, energy deregulation to allow the drilling to get going again in a number of places, but also ending DEI and the wokeism that has really infected our federal government. That's going to go into place.
So there you go. You hear what he's going to do immediately.
And the word was action, okay? Not all this talking, just not hollow sort of statements of political intent, not trying to buy votes or anything we see so often in politics, or appeasing a particular lobbyist group. Action. We're going to go in and we're going to get rid of this woke carry-on. We're going to start cleaning up.
Yeah. So border policy.
Yep.
DEI, which is all the diversity, equality, mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. Isn't that actually
wokeism?
Called wokeism? There's another word for look, what is it? Discrimination. That's what it's called. That's right. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and the energy stuff as well, because he's got to get this. This will curb inflation.
Drill,
if you can get
baby, drill.
If you can get energy going economically for America, that is so key to move forward, because apparently the Democrats were trying to put a lot of legislation and barriers that of areas they wanted to sanction as far as land was concerned, that they couldn't access to do that drilling. What also is interesting is because he wants to call it the Panama of America. Right, not the Panama of America, sorry, the Gulf of America.
I hadn't heard that one. Okay, yep.
Yeah, Gulf of America, I beg your pardon. What's that saying too is it holds up so much of the drilling they can do in that area.
Oh, okay.
If they can change it, his theory is, well, if I change the name of it, then we get better access to those oil areas and those oil wells. But oil and energy is key to his inflation attack for the economy.
And I think that's the paramount thing, okay? Americans are hurting right now. Australians are hurting. I mean, a lot of people are thinking, look, why are we so excited about an American president? Why are we so excited about this politics? Because it's a seismic move. This is a tsunami washing away the wokeism, the rubbish, the fake agendas of the money laundering that we've seen through the whole fake, alternative energy kind of world.
The deep state.
Oh, the deep state.
The socialism. The socialistic agendas of also Europe, which has been big,
huge.
They are really having to reassess how they're going to deal with America.
Yep.
You're also looking at this in Australia, the socialistic agendas that have been going in here. And let's face it, we have got a government right here in Australia that in its Article 4, thanks to Travis's input on that one, showing us that, that says we are a democratic socialist government.
100%.
And I think they've got to really reassess. Penny Wong and Kevin Rudd, who are over there for these celebrations, I hope they're really thinking about where they go from here.
Is there two people that would be, less welcome, honestly, than Penny Wong and Mr. Sheen? Honestly, they've been so negative towards the American administration, or the one that's coming in 47. I think it's an embarrassment to Australia. It's an embarrassment to Australia.
It is, but I don't think they're going to last in that position.
What are your thoughts there, Travis?
I hope that he centres them out in a speech in some sort of way, and just so it shows how shit Australia actually is at the moment. I find it hilarious how bad people say America is, but when you actually do it side by side comparison, Australia has it so much worse. And if they can turn what they've got around, and Trump can actually nail Kevin Rudd and Penny Wong about how shit of a job they've actually done, then hopefully they'll start migrating across into Australia, and we'll actually see some real reform when it comes to housing in Australia, rental markets. There's so much that needs to be done in Australia, and I hope that whichever government comes in, they learn from what Trump's doing, and we start.
They're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to. Sorry to talk over this, Travis. I thought you'd finished. They're not going to be able to keep the cat in the bag as far as censorship is concerned. No. And look what's just happened to TikTok, right? With the Supreme Court saying, look, we've got to pull it back. And Trump comes in with this amazing deal. Now, you know what the deal details were?
I don't know the details, no.
The details are this. He basically said, look, if your company is valued at trillions of dollars or billions, perhaps even $1 trillion in the United States, it's dependent on one thing, and that's me, the president, allowing you into the country.
Very true.
So what we'll do is, if we pull you, you're worth nothing in this country.
Yep, that's right.
But if we allow you in, you're worth $1 trillion company. So what we'll do is the government will take 50% of the shares, and you can operate in America.
Whoa! I did not know that. Jeez, that boy has got some. How good is that?
We'll have 50% equity, and let's make money together.
Good old story about business. Would you rather have 50% of something huge, 50% of something huge, or 100% of something tiny? Really? Come on.
And of course, it's smart because it gets all the young people who are on there on side with him. It's like, oh wow, Trump saved my favorite platform, TikTok. The business owners that depended on it for their advertising and social media are happy about it. It means that TikTok can still do that. I think it's also subject to for them to be able to organize a new buyer for TikTok.
Okay.
All right. So I think it's that.
Well, not CCP.
Well, yeah, the details to come out of that, but it was a fascinating play, and he talked about it in this rally speech that was held last night in the US. This is what I've negotiated.
No problem at all. Okay, now should we go to the next video?
I think we do. This is in this video. He's talking about the sovereign fund, which he plans, which he was talking about at an economic club. I think it's the one in Chicago back in October. Have a listen to his plans, particularly the tail of this video. It's very, very interesting how he wants to play this out.
America's own sovereign wealth fund to invest in great national endeavors for the benefit of all of the American people. Why don't we have a wealth fund? Other countries have wealth funds. We have nothing. We have nothing. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, or we can name it something different. I'll talk about it with Mr. Paulson, who's in the audience, and a lot of other friends of mine. And we'll name it something that's appropriate. Perhaps sovereign wealth fund wouldn't be appropriate, but it's going to be the same thing. We'll put tremendous amounts of money through all this money that will be taken in through tariffs and other intelligent things, and we'll have the greatest sovereign wealth fund of them all, and we should have, and that will be used to do things that will be great for our country, including to invest and wisely invest and build it up bigger and stronger and better than any place on earth. We will build extraordinary national development projects, and everything from highways to airports and to transportation infrastructure, all of the future. We'll be able to invest in state-of-the-art manufacturing hubs, advanced defense capabilities, cutting-edge medical research, and help save billions of dollars in preventing disease in the first place.
There you go. So he wants this sovereign fund that'll fund infrastructure of the United States.
Yep.
A lot of infrastructure, particularly in places like California, really needs repair, and we've just saw this.
Haven't we?
Gosh.
We've seen it so clearly, unbelievably. And look, obviously, I almost feel like I've got a little skin on the game on this one, because obviously losing my home last year, just over a year ago, to fire, and watching the utter incompetency of government, right? I saw it firsthand, okay? And watching it on that scale in the US, it's an embarrassment to the US. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's got to be the end of Newsom. It's got to be the end of his career. You would hope so. These people who have got these socialist ideas, but, you know, the great socialists tend to fill their own pockets and not actually look after the people they pretend to.
Look, I wasn't going to get into the whole Newsom thing, but it is interesting that he's already, apparently Joe Rogan's called him out on how he's excited about how other venture capitalists are going to come in and save it.
He danced.
And he was like the
he did a shimmy.
The shimmy on camera.
Unbelievable.
In front of burning down infernos.
Yeah, for those who haven't seen it, he's in an interview and he's kind of getting excited about the fact that venture capitalists are coming in to take over that land. You've got to be kidding me. Yeah, so we won't go near him today, but I think it's a valid point about crooked, disappointing government that doesn't actually act.
It's the extremes, the extremism of the last 4 years comes out in kind of that footage. It's like, hey, you know, this is what we wanted. And we did a segment last year about government wants to seize your land.
Yeah,
and it's like, thanks for proving our point.
And they certainly have. Okay. Now, I'm just going through. You've got a picture here as well. Should we go to this one?
Let's go to this one. Now, this, of course, relates to the Internal Revenue Service. Have a read of this because this is so critically important to understand. The IRS commissioner to quit as Trump takes office, Danny Werfel, Biden's pick to transform the tax agency, plans exit after Trump announces intent to replace him. So they're already resigning. They're jumping. And this is really, really important because Danny Werfel had 3 years left in his term. Okay, so he's bailing early before, you know, President-elect Donald Trump or President Donald Trump was going to remove him. This decision to quit on Inauguration Day really sidesteps the confrontation between the tax agency and the incoming administration. It's kind of like, let's just get out of here beforehand. It's easier on your resume to say that you resigned as opposed to you were fired.
You don't want any form of accountability, do we? I mean, it's politics. Right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are jumping ship and leaving these careers and resigning, hoping that, well, this will close it and this sort of stuff. It's not going to happen. There is going to be some accountability for what has gone on. And I'm not saying necessarily that's Werfel's case. However, when you've had reports from when the Democrats were running the ship, that IRS agents were rocking up with firearms and handguns to collect funds, you've got to really understand what does that do. Now, he's changing the whole shift, if we see in this next slide, to how funds are raised by government. This is his big pet project. And this is amazing. So if you read that, for too long, this is what he's tweeted, for too long we have relied on taxing our great people using the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, it's our ATO equivalent, through soft and pathetically weak trade agreements. The American economy has delivered growth and prosperity to the world while taxing ourselves. So what he's saying is we're there for everybody.
Correct.
We're there to help them out in their worst situations, and we're taxing ourselves to be able to fund that and do it at our own expense and at the Americans' expense, right? And he's saying, it is time for that to change. I am today announcing that I will create the External Revenue Service to collect our tariffs, duties, and all revenue that come from foreign sources. We'll begin charging those that make money off us with trade, and they will start paying, finally, their fair share. January 2025 will be the birth date of the External Revenue Service. Make America Great. So it's really interesting because I kind of came across this idea from the prophet Julie Green, who said the IRS will disappear. She said this about 2022. And I thought, that's a big call.
I remember you talking about this.
That's a big call. Yeah. We're seeing it now starting to be fulfilled, Aaron.
Hey, Derek.
I said nothing.
Derek. So
yes.
I'm not going into details because I don't want to give too much away yet, but I'm very actively looking at the IRS at the moment and some of the properties that they're selling. So the thing that I found very, very interesting, all the houses that have been claimed by the IRS and up for auction in the next 3 months, most of them actually come from red states. Not many of them are actually coming from Democratic states. So I'm really, really interested to see what's going to happen once Trump takes office and what's going to happen with the IRS and what's going to happen with people who are defaulting on their taxes from Democratic states versus Republican states, because I think the IRS have absolutely been used against the Republican states.
You think they've been weaponized? I can't imagine that.
Absolutely. Everything else has been weaponized, so why not the IRS as well?
Honestly, if my tongue was any further in my cheek, I'd be licking the monitors over here. I mean, it is what we've seen from America in the last 4 years, obviously. But let's also wind the clock back. Okay, let's think about the Obama years, where rights were just taken away from everyday Americans. Okay, and again, kids were put in cages. It's true, though. It is true. The man who, of course, won the Nobel Peace Prize was putting kids in cages. So there you are. But, that's my thoughts on that one.
Energy is going to be a big deal. Green energy and legislation holding up America developing energy will go.
Okay.
That's what Trump has kind of indicated in terms of...
But what about those fantastic wind turbines? I mean, they're fantastic. They do such a good job. They're efficient. And they don't, they don't kill wildlife. They don't throw lumps of fiberglass at people on beaches. I mean, they're just perfect.
Well, they're great for 10 years.
Are they?
Yeah, and then you got to pay, then you got to replace them again.
Yeah, they're not great for 10 years, but I know I'm with you on that one.
Inverted commas, tongue in cheek, as you do, Aaron. But yeah, this is really, really interesting as far as that is concerned. That development is going to be relooked. Drill, baby, drill. Let's have a look at this next video here. Now, this is from a couple of days ago. They had a big crypto meeting and celebration or whatever it is. And this is from Crypto Czar, as they call him, David Sachs. I think Don Trump Jr. put this one out there.
Okay, it's
going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
The reign of terror against crypto is over. And the beginning of innovation in America for crypto has just begun.
Okay, so it's a short statement,
It certainly is.
but it's the reign of terror.
Yeah.
Big, immotivated words. Trump has said that basically crypto companies within the United States, so US-based crypto companies, will be tax-free for crypto developed there, and other companies moving over to the US can also have tax-free treatment in the United States as well if they move over, which is interesting because I was watching one of the CEOs of a different crypto. I won't say which one, but he's saying it was very subtle. It was like America's looking very interested. Might have to take him up on their offer when you put an American flag there. I think he's based in London, so that gives you a bit of a clue. Okay. But these crypto CEOs are taking notice around the world, and what that's going to do is if America positions itself as far as the crypto leader is concerned, this helps them in the negotiations with the BRICS nations that are trying to remove and weaken the US dollar.
Okay.
And in that, a lot of nations are going to go around and go, how are we going to? They're going to start questioning what benefits do we give crypto companies in our own backyard, and what tax treatment should we give them so we don't lose them to the United States? They've got to be more competitive.
They've got to be competitive, exactly right. So they'll have to step up to the mark. I've got another picture that's come up here as well, as far as crypto.
Hang on, guys. So, just that video that you were just watching, something very, very interesting to note. Did you see the DJ in the background?
No,
yes.
I did not.
The guy made the statement. He's like rubbing his hands together because he knows the normal people are going to get looked after once again, especially with the ability to get into crypto. So all of Trump's policies, when you break them all down, you see that they actually focus on the little guys and try and get them up out of poverty as much as possible, where the Democrats are totally opposite. So
that's right.
And this is an order of priority for Trump as well. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the first orders that he puts in as far as...
this one could be in the car on the drive.
Minutes, behind.
Let's have a look at this little pic. There we go. Okay. And I think it should be a priority. Like we said 1,000 times, the toothpaste is out of the tube when it comes to crypto. It is now a very viable thing. We've seen since the end of World War II. It's a very long time ago. It's 80 years roughly. Okay. It's 80 years this year. Wow. Okay.
Well, there is a Trump coin too. So Trump's got his own coin, which is blown up and it's gone over $70, right?
He's got his hand in everything.
He's got a meme coin that.
Well, what about the value of Trump Social Truth Social? Sorry, same thing.
Absolutely. So his net worth has just gone through the roof again. So it's fascinating how that's played out. This company now is like a number 11 as far as the biggest companies in crypto are concerned. Is Trump meme coin, and it'll be interesting how it goes up and down as far as his presidencies and policies are concerned. Just as we've seen the volatility of Truth Social on the stock market.
Yeah, and there has been a lot of volatility in that department.
It has.
Okay, should we jump to the video here about his revival plans? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, let's do it. So this is about the frontier.
Be able to buy a home again and be a part of the American dream. We will make housing much more affordable. As inflation is tamed, interest rates will dramatically fall. They'll be down very, very low. We'll get them down. We had them down to 2.4% and even lower than that for a period of time. Reducing mortgage rates is a big factor. We're going to get them back down to, we think, 3%, maybe even lower than that, saving the average home buyer thousands of dollars per year. We will eliminate regulations that drive up housing costs with the goal of cutting the cost of a new home in half. We think we can do that. The regulations alone cost 30%. Regulation costs 30% of a new home. And we will open up portions of federal land for large-scale housing construction. These zones will be ultra-low tax and ultra-low regulation. One of the great, really small business job creation programs it will be of all time. We're going to open up our country to building homes inexpensively so young people and other people can buy homes. You can't buy them anymore. Millions of Americans will take part in setting these safe and beautiful communities, reviving the frontier spirit, and really, as I said, reviving the American dream. It's about the American dream. It's all about the American dream.
Okay, so America has a huge homelessness problem right now.
Amazing how many people, you look at LA, they're living on the streets in tents. It's just all across the country.
And this is white-collar workers, right? Yeah. These are people that go to white-collar jobs and they go back to a tent at home at night. That's their place.
Yeah. Imagine that. You'd want to stay in the office as long as you could, wouldn't you?
There's two things he's tackling there. Over-regulation, which he's saying is 30% of the problem of the price of new home builds. I'd like to get Travis's input that in just a moment on that point. And the second one is, of course, land release, which is something we've been talking about for a long while, right? We're going to release federal land to allow people for these new developments without the regulation that we currently hold.
Could we ask the Australian politicians to listen to that bit?
Well, here's the thing, the advantage he has over many Australian politicians.
What's that?
He's been in the building trade for how many years? His whole career. He's a property developer and that sort of thing. He knows what it costs to build a sky-rise, a housing development. He is right across this. Travis, I'd love to get your input on this.
So, first of all, I love how he says housing is inaffordable for young people in America. So the average prices in a lot of states like New York State and all that sort of stuff, you're looking maybe $150,000 a house. So if you're looking at states like WA, our average house prices are over $600,000. So for him to say that Americans can't afford houses, I think that's it's not a stupid comment. It's just a lot of people are going to take it out of context because they don't understand. Most of the young people also in America have 7 credit cards, a personal loan, car finances. They're mortgaged up to the eyeball, so they can't even borrow $50,000 for a house. So I think there's a lot more that needs to be looked at rather than just saying, oh, young people can't afford a house because houses are so expensive. That's bullshit. The houses in America are not expensive by any stretch of the imagination. So taking that, though, what I did love is that he's trying to regulate the interest rates because that's going to help everyone across the board. So taking away the bullshit, the stamp duties and all that sort of stuff going into a house and cutting down the costs of like the regulations getting into a house, I think that's a great thing in every single country, not just America. And it's a smart move and it's something that Australia really, really needs to do.
Stamp duties are absolutely.
So as you guys are aware, we sold 2 properties in Geraldton. They were very, very cheap ex-state housing houses. So Geraldton is not an expensive area. I think the average house price in Geraldton is about $230,000. To sell 1 unit was $17,500 to use a real estate agent. That's to sell one house. So we're giving up, what's that? About
35 grand.
8 or 9% just in real estate fees. And that's not including stamp duty, interest, any other fees and charges, termite inspections, electrical and plumbing inspections that we have to do beforehand. So not only to get into housing is really expensive, but to get out of housing is really expensive in Australia. So getting rid of all those sort of regulations is a fantastic thing. So I love that. The easiest way to reduce the cost of land is not banning foreign, like the Liberal policy in Australia of banning foreigners from buying land in Australia is not going to do anything because no new houses are available. All you don't do is reduce the house prices, but jack up the rental prices. That's all you're going to do. It's not going to help the everyday people. So opening land up is the number one best way to stabilize the housing market's price or to lower the price of houses and make it easier for people to get in, and then removing the cost to get into a house in the first place. So those 2 policies, well done, Trump. The other one, I disagree with him on that one. House prices in America are not expensive. They're cheap as shit.
On the rental thing, I want to point this out. As far as in Australia, I was actually speaking to someone just a couple of days ago who was talking about the subsidies that are coming through from the the Australian Labor government that currently in power. The subsidies that are being paid to put people in public, or not public housing, actually to private housing, is disgusting. So there are people out there.
It's just driving inflation. It's doing nothing but driving inflation worse and worse and worse.
If you've got pensioners paying $150 a week, and I completely understand why, and I'm on the pensioner side here, but because because the government is prepared to pay the rest, it's pushing up those private rentals to ridiculous rates. So literally someone's paying $150 a week, right? Or a single mum particularly is paying $150 a week to be in a place that the rent might be $750. So the Australian taxpayer is picking up $600 a week. Are you kidding me? Like, this is not good for the economy in any way, and it is artificially pushing up the rental prices for everybody in the private market.
And you've got to ask, how many of these politicians have investment properties?
Oh, quite a lot.
How big is their portfolio?
I can answer that one. I can answer that one.
What's the answer?
There are a few, but what they do, they all put it into corporations, and they don't own anything.
Back to your point, Travis, on that mention of property is affordable in America. It really depends on what state and area you're in. Okay, the property prices of California vary so much, right? Wow. You've got the Beverly Hills and all that. Yeah, the places that have just burned down, they were top dollar. Okay, you go over to New York, top dollar, but then you go to places like Detroit. And
Detroit, just they're giving them away, basically.
Exactly. So you've got to, you can't just compare apples to apples right there. It varies big time.
Using that same argument, you can turn around and say houses in Geraldton, like relatively cheap, still in WA. But if you look at Dalkeith in WA, you're looking $1 million plus for a house. You can go to Melbourne, where you can be 3 hours out of the city and still be paying over $700,000 for a house.
Mate, you won't
get a place. So you can use that same argument. CBDs are more expensive than regional areas. So
yeah, of course. But what I'm saying is that the stamp duty in the US is a lot lower than we pay here in Australia. Incredibly low. I know this because I used to run a US property syndication. I couldn't believe how ridiculously cheap it was. All right. Just a couple of thousand, no problem.
Oh, you're joking.
Back then it was. So, it was just.
Can you just prove my point?
Yeah, look, I agree. But what I'm saying is that it's different from a sense of, you look at the cost of living and income, right? People's income wages have not risen. And you've got to look at, in America, inflation's been higher than it has been in Australia.
Sure.
And the homelessness is what really concerned me. I think one of the other unspokens with homelessness is the legalization of marijuana in the United States.
Do you think that's an issue?
I think that is one of the biggest issues there too.
Chill out, man. Jeez.
I think once the addictiveness of that is causing massive problems in terms of the social dynamics of the United States. Plus, you got to remember, their welfare system is not like what it is here. No. It is completely different. It is very, very different.
Well, it's a much shorter period, isn't it, too?
Yeah.
And the food stamps.
And the whole cultural thing of welfare there is you don't want to stay on it. It's a shameful thing.
Okay.
You only do it if you have to do it, and you want to get back on your feet again. It's a totally different cultural.
Well, I don't think it should ever be a shameful thing, but I think it should be a step up. I mean, it should be a hand out. A hand up rather than a hand out. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It's very, very different. So you've got to take the whole context of that. Why is housing so unaffordable? There are other elements in there.
Those elements to it. All right, let's jump on to the next video. Now, I've got to find it there. It's
so this is the eighth one that we're looking at here, the eighth element that Trump plans to, I beg your pardon, number 9. We've got a slide here. We've got a slide here that I want to look at how this is affecting as far as world politics are concerned. Now, we mentioned at the start of the show, already we've had a ceasefire in the Middle East, which is fantastic, right? Anything to stop bloodshed is brilliant.
Of course it is.
Okay. I have seen some rumors that Eric Trump apparently said that Zelensky asked several times whether he could be invited to the inauguration, and he was turned down many, many times. But this one's really interesting as far as US politics is concerned when it comes to China.
Okay.
Trump tweets here, if we still call them tweets, I just spoke to Chairman Xi Jinping of China. The call was a very good one for both China and the USA. It is my expectation that we'll solve many problems together and starting immediately. And I think when Trump says immediately, he means immediately.
He does.
We discussed balancing trade, fentanyl, TikTok. Well, he's already solved that one. Many other subjects. President Xi and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. So there's a bit of diplomacy going on. I think we're going to see a more diplomatic president in some instances where he...
Well, hang on. How about one that just shows up? How about one who isn't dribbling from the corner of his mouth? This has been such a ridiculous period, of time where the world has been lied to by the left media, right? The left-leaning media, which is about 90% of the media, 95% of the media, has lied to the people of the world about this. Now, this is very serious. We've seen wars. We've seen what's going on in the Gaza area, for want of a better term. We've seen all of these conflicts that have been, A, started, or B, have been prolonged by a complete lack of strength shown by the US, right? Yeah, and we're accustomed to the US stepping in. I don't always like it. I mean, I don't like what the Americans did in Vietnam. I don't like what they did in, sort of the Eastern Bloc, if you like, of Europe, 30 odd years ago. I don't like that sort of thing. But at the same time, we have been accustomed to the fact that the biggest military in the world does step in when needed, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's really interesting where, the Biden had over 40% of his presidency was on vacation, out on the beach. And I think Americans were like, well, what are we paying this guy for? It became very obvious that he was not running the country. It was somebody else, a machine behind his...
He couldn't run a shower. I mean, honestly, it was just... It's embarrassing.
Yeah, so we saw that, and I think it's going to be very interesting how history looks upon him.
Oh God! When Jimmy Carter passed away recently, and it's very, very sad that someone passed away. I think about his family and that, but he was an absolutely appalling president. Okay, crap. But guess what? Everybody holding hands, kumbaya. The way people rewrite history, it makes me really worry about the history that I've learned through my life. How much of it is fact, right? When I've seen things that, little digression, events that I personally have been involved with that I watched the media completely lie about. And I was there.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, right? Or it happened completely differently.
It's one of the reasons I got into media, because my family was affected by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It lied about my dad.
I remember exactly that story. I mean, your dad's what an amazing man. What an amazing man. The things that he did was just fantastic. But it kind of opens the door, and I hope that what we do here opens people's eyes as well. I really think that's important. We, just a bunch of blokes, sharing our opinions, and obviously, the great thing with you, mate, is you've certainly opened my eyes financially, and education through Blu Sky Factory has changed my life. Right? No ifs or buts about it.
There will be a free event coming up on the 30th that people are welcome to if they say they're from Edge Radio. All right, you need to let me know that.
Definitely.
But that will. Otherwise, it's $10 at the door.
Okay. Save yourself a tenner. Use our names. There we go.
Use Edge Radio as the name, and let me know. You can email me, and I'll basically send you the code to get your free ticket. All right.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, that's happening on Thursday, the 30th, and the topic that we're going to be looking at is the great wealth transition is now. Okay. The wealth is changing and moving hands from the wicked to the righteous, and it's now. So let's have a look at it.
Just before we do that, just very quickly, for how long have you been sort of saying these things to me? And about the fact of, and I love the fact that you've instilled this in myself and other people that I talk to and watch the show and follow what we do, is that, doom and gloom, it's not. It's opportunity, right? So this is time to jump on those and take that chance. Well, it's not even a chance. Just take that initiative and step into your opportunity.
Seize your promised land, man.
Yeah. That'll do. All right, we'll jump into the video here.
Now, this video here, can I just preface it a little bit? Speaking as promised land, there is a spiritual element of what is going on in the United States. Yes. Now, when I watched this video, it was like onions were suddenly in the room. This is a whole different tack. And I think this underlines the spiritual nature of what we've been talking about for the last 4 years. People have prayed.
Yeah.
And this rally that happened last night for Trump before he goes into the inauguration moment, it's kicked off with this prayer. Now, you don't have to play all of it because it's fairly long. It goes through just under 3 minutes, but it captures the heart, because there's an old spiritual law that says, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and turn from the wicked ways, then I will hear their prayers, heal their land, forgive their sin, and heal their land. And I feel like there is a healing about to unload on the United States.
100% agree.
Take a look at this.
Not on the US, mate, on the world.
Father, we thank you. Lord, you are truly everything. Your name is above every other name, and apart from you, we can do nothing. Spirit of the living God, may you be glorified in everything that takes place today. May we humble ourselves in your presence, Lord. All glory to you. And may we come together in this room and pray for Los Angeles and those that were impacted by the fire. You are the God that redeems and that is with us. God, bring restoration to this situation. Lord, we thank you for choosing President Donald Trump as a vessel for your nation. As he carries the great responsibility of leading your people, may he rest in the knowledge that you, Lord, are the one who goes before him, and you will never leave him nor forsake him. I pray that you would protect his mind and you would guard his heart. I pray that you would place a shield around our president, his family, and upon this nation, that when opposition comes his way, may you provide angelic protection wherever he goes. May he stand firm in knowing the Lord is his refuge in whom he can trust. For it is written in Psalm 91 that when we trust in your name, you will order angels to protect us wherever we go. Lord, we pray that it would be your power and your wisdom that would guide every decision and be the foundation of this nation. I pray that it would be your spirit that rests upon President Donald Trump, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. Father, I pray for an outpouring of love and healing and unity over this country. For your word says that you can have faith that moves mountains, but if we don't have love, it means nothing. Lord, would you soften the hearts of your sons and daughters? Would you make us more like you, that we can love each other as you have loved us? Lord, I come boldly to the throne of grace, and I pray for a revival in this nation, that we would get back to the heart of the matter, and that is you, Jesus, the Prince of Peace, the one who humbly laid down his life for us and calls us to lay down our lives for one another. May that be the very foundation of this nation. President Donald Trump, we say that you will succeed and America will yet again prosper. May you manifest in the brightest of colors, and may your reign be righteous. In Jesus' mighty name. Yes!
Thing. Why not, Jade? Absolutely. And I did notice there that was presented by the PBS, the network. Now,
the irony, isn't it?
Can you imagine the producers having to go through that experience of having to, I don't know, celebrate something so positive, right? Not sell hate and division, which is what the PBS and CBS and obviously your CNN and NBC and all of these mobs, ABC, have been pushing hate for such a long time and division between people. It's really nice to see. Whether you're a religious person, whether you're or you're not, or you're a Christian person or you're not, you have to see this as what it is. I mean, this is okay. Over the last few years, we've had so much destruction. And when I say the last few years, actually, let's talk the last 50 years, okay? We've had so much destruction of family, okay, of our values, of what it is to be a man, what it is to be a woman. I mean, for these lunatics don't even know what a woman is, can't even explain what it is. They're this incredible abuse of children that we have seen over a long period. For 50 years, there's been a concentrated effort to destroy children so they become, quite frankly, just the products, okay, the consumers and the zombies of the next generation. This is powerful. Whether you're a religious person or not, this is powerful, and I really appreciate that.
We need the healing of the family.
We do. The family is fundamentally the basis of it all.
Absolutely, because if we have broken families, we have broken communities, we have broken societies, we have broken government, we have broken business, everything breaks, right?
Absolutely.
And so this
100%.
This emphasis on love in a political meeting. Would you get that in Australia? That's I look at it and go, what political celebration and rally would start with that? It has the courage to start with something like that. You see the heart of what is going on in the United States right now. It's changing.
Travis, your thoughts on that?
So before I get into my thoughts, we got to do a few shout outs as well. So Brett Werry over on my personal Facebook page has just shared this stream to God knows how many places. That's just what Brett does. He's an absolute legend. And he's also got an amazing Vietnamese wife, just like me. So legend. Josh for jumping in the stream again. Also, Taz always for commenting. And Damo, again, those guys are hardcore supporters of ours. So thank you for coming into the stream and all that sort of stuff. So groups that would have the courage to go against the media and F up shit and just like do what needs to be done. Josh, straight in. Josh in our chat is, my understanding, is running in the state election coming up 8th of March for the independents. Josh, just if you've got a website, anything coming up, please chuck it in the chat. We'll share it around with everyone. He is arguably one of the...
For sure.
I actually ran against him in the seat of Burton, WA, and it was really, really funny. So a bit of a side story. I got COVID during the campaigning, so I was restricted to home. I couldn't campaign. I couldn't do shit during the election. So Josh actually picked up all my how to vote cards and delivered it to all our volunteers. And then during the actual election itself, he got COVID, so we did the same thing. I went and picked up all of his how to vote cards and delivered them to all his volunteers. Now, this is the things that the family, having a family orientation, the desire to actually respect, to help out each other, it is lacking. Unfortunately, it looks like Josh has dropped out. But anyway, I know he will be back. I think he's an amazing candidate. I think he's going to be phenomenal when he does finally decide to run. And I've got plans in process to help with things like that. But as more information comes up, I'll let people know. But the family unit is there's an active effort, and I believe it started with the first lot of feminism all the way back in the day. They want to attack and alienate the man from protecting the family. They want to stop the female from trying to keep the family unit together. And they're just taking away the historical roles of men and women and trying to merge it and say that men and women are the same. We are not the same. We're built differently. We have different roles within society, and it's causing society as a whole to break apart. And to have people like that, and I have to compliment them having two extremely attractive young ladies doing that speech, because these days, if it was the Democrats or the Labor Party, you'd have some blue-haired whale preaching about some other crap, and it's like, just be normal. Like, for once, I just want a normal member of parliament. I just want someone who focuses on the everyday people and tries to get them up, not saying, like, for example, the fire. It's like, oh, you want someone who looks like you. No, I want someone to get me out of a fucking fire. Sorry about my language, Derek. You don't beat me out, but just like, you're a firefighter. I need someone to save me if I'm in a point of emergency. If you can't save me, you should not be in that position. So there you go. Okay, Josh, shouting out to Andrew Middleton. I've met him a few times. I think he's a top bloke. I think he's going to go far. But yeah, Taz, I know you've had blue hair, but I don't expect you to carry me out of a house either.
Hey, hang on. In a couple of weeks, challenge accepted there, Taz. Let me get you onto that one.
I've seen Taz do leg presses, and she's improved so much in the last 12 months or so. I think she might be able to pick me up, but carry me out of the house, I don't know. I'm nearly pushing 100 kilos. So
he's a big boy.
He's a big boy. All right. Look,
not
I think
as big as Aaron, though.
No. If Taz can lift me out of the house, a round of applause. Well done indeed. She's, quite frankly, that's an athlete for you. All right, end of the show, everyone. Thank you so much for all your great comments that have come through and for listening as we've gone through these wonderful videos and picks. I think today's a really important show. I really do. And can I just ask everybody, please, like, share, subscribe, do all those things that you hear all the YouTubers talking about, because it makes a big, big difference. Okay, it really does. Our world runs on algorithms. So if you could do that, tell your friends, right? If your friends are you're having a conversation, you're having a barbie, and they're saying, I'm sick of the rubbish I'm seeing on the news or this or that, encourage them to maybe sort of step over and join us here at Edge. I would really appreciate it. I mean, we're growing hugely. Things are going unbelievably well. But end of the day, this entire station is all about free speech. It is all about reaching as many people as possible. I haven't seen the comment that's about to come up. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Josh.
And well, if he doesn't, the world won't populate. So anyway.
Correct. With that, we'll end the show. Have you got any last thoughts there on the way out?
Welcome to the Great Awakening. How will you position yourself in this time of change to not only prosper, but to live your life purpose?
Live your life purpose. It's Edge Radio Australia. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Travis, as well. Thank you, everyone involved, for being part of the show. A quick little comment from Damo on the way out. There we go. Love it. Damo, you're a pretty strong mate. Yeah, exactly. But think of your back. Think of your back. And we'll get out of here. This has been The Greater Wealth here on Edge Radio Australia.